Greetings from Ukraine. My name is Chip Taylor. I have a small farm here in southwestern Ukraine. We've got a few animals, some chickens, some goats, some pigs, that kind of stuff, but we also do row crops. And I'm out here today to talk to you about how we're going to set up this property. Last year, well, this plot here is 1.35 acres. Last year they planted potatoes. You can see where the snow starts more significant. It hasn't melted over there yet. That's where the potatoes were. Here they had carrots. And then down below, and I'll walk down there in just a second, they had beets. But what they did is they planted, and then basically they just walked away. So the weeds, as you can see, in Georgia we would call that pulpwood. The weeds just overtook the place. They were chest high. And this is significant. This is significant brush. And so it's just been sitting underneath the snow waiting for me. So when they walked away from the crops, they got no carrots at all. The potatoes, I was here when we harvested the potatoes. They were very small, and the weeds just took over. And so they came in with a bush hog. They just cut everything down. They left all the brush here on the ground. When we came to do the potatoes, they did have a tractor to turn the potatoes, but we couldn't get in. We couldn't turn the potatoes because of the brush. So we had to physically hand carry all of the sticks, all of the brush, pulpwood, over to the side of the field. But since there were no carrots, we just left it for me. And so what I'm going to have to do now that the snow is gone, is clear this stuff as best I can with what tools I have available, which is basically a rake, a wheelbarrow, and a shovel, pitchfork too. And so it's a significant challenge. But what I wanted to talk to you, first of all, is how I'm going to lay this out. You see how the rows are running? This is the east, this is the west. And so we're going to run these rows the same direction because I've got a downward slope. It's not significant, but I want any kind of drainage to go down the hill. I don't need to hold water here. The soil is thick and black, and it holds moisture very well. So that's not going to be a problem. The land being too wet is going to be a factor, most definitely. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take advantage of the slope. I'm going to lay this out in beds that are 33 to 35 foot long. Haven't quite determined. 35 would make it fit significantly easier without a lot of wasted space. And then my beds are going to be 30 inches wide with an 18-inch space in between. So that's 48 inches, that's 4 feet. So I'm going to divide it into blocks of 35 feet probably by 4 feet beds. And then I'll divide the whole piece of property by 10. So 10 sections, and then the rows that'll fit in each section so that we can manage it. We can trace our yield. We can predict what needs to be done, how much compost or fertilizer is going to need to be placed in it, and just trace things a little bit easier, make it a little bit more manageable instead of just doing the whole thing. One row here, one row there. We'll just do it in small sections. That's how you eat an elephant, one piece at a time. And so what I'm probably going to do is start, I'm going to prep beds starting right here. This is the highest point. This is the spot that's going to dry out the first. This is also the farthest from the road, but it is the place that I think I can get the best drainage the quickest. Now I've got some lighter brush in between this plot and that plot. That plot does not belong to me. This plot does. And so this is my border. I'm going to work the beds right up against it. I think I can get maybe a little bit more, maybe another 1/10 of an acre if I work all the way up to the edge. I'm making my rows 30 inches, and then the length of these rows is really 10 meters. And you know, the whole metric thing's got me challenged, to say the least. But all my materials that I can pick up, landscape fabrics and plastics and things like that, are coming in mostly 10-meter length. So that's really the length of my beds, and then we'll just divide the place up like that. The width of it, the 30 inches and the 18 inches, my landscape rakes are 30 inches wide. That seems to be the standard in the U.S. among market farmers. And so that's what we're going to use. Right this minute, machinery is not an issue because I don't have any. I do have a horse. There's some attachments that come with the horse. And so we're going to take advantage of those as best we can. This is the area where the beets were. And you can see what we have is a lot of weed, but there weren't any beets. They didn't, well, the weeds took over. Now this is a different kind of brush down here than there was up the hill a little bit. And so it's not quite as challenging to put a bed in here right now. I don't have to get out the pulpwood. So I can start right around here. Still got the slope, still gonna run my rows in that direction. I've got 127 feet from where I stand now to where the tree line is. And then I've got, I think it's 230, 240 feet from here to the edge of the property going that way. And then in this direction, well, the total is 414. Now that gave myself a little bit of a buffer. I can take advantage of that. I can move the brush back a little bit. I've got a little bit more property. There's an access, kind of like an access road. I'm not sure that they need it for this piece of property. I'm not sure if they can come in from the other side, but I can push the edge of the property all the way up. And then I had 146, 47 feet from clean land here to clean land there. Again, I can probably get another 10 or 20 feet, maybe 30 feet, if I push it all the way up against the edge of the brush. So I don't think space is going to be an issue. Right now, my biggest concern is weeds and getting in here and working this soil and setting up these beds. This ground's still frozen. We got a little bit of rain last night. Right now it's probably in the mid-40s and a little bit of drizzle, and so that's knocked down some of the snow for us. Some of these other fields where they didn't have quite as much grass on it have less snow. Some of the other fields have more snow, so it's not it's not spring yet, is what I'm trying to say. Now, one of my other big issues about this piece of property is I've got no water here. You know, my little farm is about a 5-minute walk to the west. And so watering this stuff is going to be a challenge. I want to do drip irrigation, and I think I can do gravity fed. But getting a tank of water over here might be an issue. We'll see. I thought about putting fence up here just to keep other people's livestock out. I know they walk the cows up and down the road here. Somebody's come in and cut some of the brush out of here. It's pretty much open. This land is not really private land. What this is you know, Ukraine was under communism for 70 years, and nobody had really any private property. This is what's known as community property. But when communism fell and then Ukraine got independence 25 years ago, a piece of property just like this basically belongs to, for lack of a better word, a county. This is like a region, a district. And they have a district manager who you can rent land from. There's an agreement with the people that I'm managing the farm for, an agreement with them that we have this piece of property. We have access to the land here. And so it's not an issue of land ownership. I couldn't sell the land, but I can, and I couldn't like build a house or something like that, but I can farm it, and there's no issues with that. There's nobody going to come in after I develop the property and say, oh, you did such a nice job, we'd like to have this instead of you. So that's not an issue. I've got a little bit of a access here. It's got a bit of a ditch to it, but you could get a truck across. There's another place right up here, and then there's another one up at the top of the hill. The hill it's not significant. Maybe it's a 5-degree slope, and it really starts after about 200 feet from the edge. That's when it starts to slope down. And so here we've got a little bit better drainage, I think. That's a little bit flatter, and so, you know, to put a couple of beds up here at the top and just get it started, just get something going, I think it's probably going to be what I do. The organic content of the soil is, like I said, this is a rich soil. Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe, and so underneath this trash is a fertile black soil. Now we'll put some stuff on it. I've got plenty of compost. Again, I got to get it over here. Wheelbarrows. There's a cart for the horse, and so I can load up the cart with compost, put the tools on it, get a tank to put water in, and I can do stuff like that. Also, I talked to y'all earlier about using the chickens to weed, and you know, the only issue with using that on this piece of property is getting the chickens over here. It's not a problem, I just can't leave them here. There is an issue with theft in this part of the world. We're kind of off the beaten path, so the only people that are going to come by and see that there's chickens unattended here would be the locals, and I don't think it's an issue. The people that asked me to come and manage this farm, they think it'll be an issue. They think people will come and steal vegetables and come and steal anything I leave out here. Maybe so. They might know better. They live here. They're Ukrainian. But my thoughts on that, you know, my chickens I'm not going to leave, but my thoughts on people coming and stealing vegetables, that's the whole idea, is to feed people. And if somebody is so desperate that they need to come and they need to steal some tomatoes or some peppers or some lettuce or cabbage, God bless you. Go ahead. That's fine with me. I'm trying to help people. That's the whole reason I came over here. And I'm not going to scold somebody for coming and pinching a few crops. That's fine with me. Alright, anyway, if there's something here, when I lay this stuff out, I'll video that, let you see how I do it, what the soil's like. The top right now is a little wet and loose, but you can feel that it is frozen just below the surface, so it's going to be a little while. Maybe today is Thursday, and probably by Saturday, we're supposed to have 50 degrees tomorrow. Saturday it may go back down below freezing, but hopefully the snow will be gone in just a little while, and I can start turning some soil. You can see it's pretty black, pretty gray, and there's some, I mean, it's dirt. I don't have a big rock problem. There are some pebbles here. This land's been used for a lot of different things for the last few centuries, and so there's some broken glass and stuff like that, just rubble, but mostly it is just thick black soil and very fertile. So I don't think I'm going to have to do much to it this year. When we start planting intensively and rotating crops and that kind of stuff, we're going to have to amend the soil probably several times per year, depending dependent upon how we rotate the crops. All right, if any of this has been of interest to you, like it, send me a like, share it with your friends. If you have any questions or comments or things that I might need to know, make a comment. You can see I've got drainage, and we're significantly higher than the road here. And so, but like I was saying, if there's something that you want to know, ask a question. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And I've got a YouTube channel, Greetings from Ukraine. I've got my own Facebook page, Otis W. Chip Taylor. Send me a friend request. I've got a website, UkrainianRecoveryResources.com. Tells you more about what we do that's not necessarily related to farming. If you could use this, more power to you. Peace.